and also for lecturers like me because I'm still learning in terms of doing systematic literature review. Okay, this program hopefully will help us in improving our way of doing research and also writing journal papers. Okay, we are lucky to have Dr. Zain, our associate. Uh, what you call? Uh, he
Post
is now. He is attached to IBE. Yeah, for
postdoc postdoc.
postgraduate, postdoc student. Okay, to get the barakah from Allah for our event today, let us recite Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Ya kana wa ya Amin, 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 ya Rabbal Alamin. Okay, before we start with our session, I would like to invite our director, Professor Dr. Jafar Paiman, to give an opening remark. Please, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Kadir. Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to Sheikh Professor Dr. Abdul Kadir Osman, Deputy Director for Research and Innovation of Institute of Business Excellence, UiTM, Dr. Muzamil Ahmed Zainul Abideen, our speaker for today's session, members of Institute of Business Excellence, and all participants. I hope everyone is actually in good health. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Professor Dr. Abdul Kadir Osman and Dr. Zain, especially for organizing this webinar on the art of systematic review and content analysis. And on behalf of Institute of Business Excellence, UiTM, I would like to thank to all participants for your support and also commitment in joining and participating in this particular event, as well as allocating your time listening to this speaker. For everyone information, Institute of Business Excellence is one of the excellent center in University Technology Mara. As Center of Excellence in UiTM, we have various responsibility to achieve, especially our KPI in assisting the university to increase the activity in research and innovation, to increase publication, securing research grant, generating income from training, consultancy, event management, organizing international conference, and many more. As a Center of Excellence in UiTM, also, we committed in achieving those KPI, and therefore, one of the activities is sharing the knowledge to all participants by doing this systematic review and content analysis webinar. Okay, it is hoped that by doing this initiative, it will support and help the university aspiration in increasing the research interest among academic staff and also students, and it is also in line with UiTM's strategic plan to make this institution to become globally renowned university in the year 2025. I really hope that this session will provide a good platform to all of you in gaining the knowledge as well as the idea on how to do research, particularly in the art of systematic review and content analysis. And I wish you all the best in this webinar. Thank you very much and see you again, inshallah.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Jafar Paiman, for the enlightening remark, opening remark. Okay, before we proceed, I would like to introduce Dr. Zain. Dr. Zain is currently a postgraduate associate in the Institute of Business Excellence, UiTM. Previously, he was the associate of research associate at MISI and also MIT Global Scale Network for Logistics. He's in the field of logistics. He holds a PhD in industrial management from the Faculty of Industrial Management (FRM) University Malaysia Pahang, Malaysia. He has also 5 years experience as assistant professor from Crescent University and 3 years experience as teaching assistant in FIM UMP, University Malaysia Pahang. And he has also a strong background in production and systems management. He was associate with the flagship project as a research assistant and was also the vice president FIM postgraduate student club in 2017 until 2019. His expertise in the area of simulation modeling, discrete event, agent-based system dynamics, supply chain network optimization, systematic review, bibliometric analysis, and case-based research. He has published a lot of articles, journal articles, such as in various journals, including Sustainability, International Journal of Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Marketing, Journal of Modeling and Management, Journal of Global Operations and Strategic Sourcing, International Journal of Logistics Systems and Management, and various other top ranked journals in around the world. Okay, he's also an active reviewer for International Journal of Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Marketing and various other journals. If I want to read one by one, is going to be time consuming. Okay, without much further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Zain to start with the sharing session. Before that, I would like to inform that this is an initiative by IBE. It is free of charge to everyone. We want to help others. We want to contribute to especially academic society, inshallah. Okay, please, Dr. Zain, the floor is yours. Thank you, Dr. Zain.
Most welcome, Professor. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. Hope you're doing good. Today was a very rainy day and feeling little bit very sleepy, right? Okay, let's jump into our webinar. Can somebody acknowledge? Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, Dr. Zain. We can clear it. We can see it clearly.
Yeah. I'll just adjust the slide. Okay. To be very frank and to be very straight, this is not a expert level webinar, not a beginner level also. This is just an intermediate level. People who have already been doing this systematic reviews or content analysis or trying to do or willing to start now, this is the webinar for them. So I am Dr. Muzamil Ahmed Zainul Abideen, as introduced by Professor Khadir. Currently a postdoctoral associate in Business Institute of Business Excellence, UiTM. So generally what is the need for the review? We should ask ourselves, like, why do we need to study a set of literature? People do it for their research proposals, researchers do it for completing their thesis or publication, so on and so forth. But that is not the answer, right? We have to be very specific in what we need when we conduct a review or a systematic review or whatever. But there are so many types of review according to the systematic review umbrella. Under the systematic review umbrella, before starting, you have to answer these questions. You have to understand these arguments. How are you going to address these problems? Like, is my study going to eliminate bias in the findings? What is bias? For example, you go to a database, any database, Scopus or Web of Science, EBSCO, ProQuest, any database, and try to download random papers and claim and say to the world that I have downloaded few data sets and this is the final data set I am going to review. But people will ask you, the researchers or the experts will ask you, did you remove the bias, or is it your judgmental data set, or is it out of the it is free of bias or not? Is it free of bias or not? So ultimately, basically, what is bias? You have to go through each and every paper, every publication manually, physically, and try to understand whether it is going to address your research problem or research question or not. Very important to keep in mind. If it is not going to address your research questions, if it's not going to address your research agenda or protocol or whatever, it is that data set or that publication, including that data set in your systematic review, is completely a waste of time. So that is bias from my point of view. And when you reduce the bias, automatically we will reduce a lot of unnecessary items and also reduce the number of trials. And the main reason for us to do the systematic review is to find the research gaps. Absolutely, yes. And also, what is the future prospect? When you find the research gap, you don't stop there. We will go further ahead and find what is the future research prospect. What if we do that? What if we do this? So how we are going to project or proclaim in the paper or in your findings? You have to bolster previous findings and tell them this is a normal thing, but when it comes to systematic review, you have to be very specific what you are claiming. So the claim should be very standard claim. And also, people do the research for the understanding the developments in the current research area. If you're new to the area and if you want to learn more, you do a summary or a narrative review or a simple literature review, and then you use this review to convert it into a systematic review. I will tell everything one by one. And of course, ultimately we are going to contribute. If you come up with a very good systematic review and find a research gap and project to the world, portray to the world, outer research world that this is the gap or research gap still. Researchers have to concentrate, or academicians have to concentrate. If you do this, you will get so many practical and managerial and theoretical implications. So many insights you can reap from it. So there are so many things to add to the web of knowledge. So when you start a review, when you have an idea to do a systematic review, make sure you have all satisfactory arguments and answers for all these points. Okay, little bit technical. What is a normal literature review and a systematic review? When you see a few set of publications and try to extract your answers for your research questions, or try to extract few ideas, or just copy paste and paraphrase, and you categorize the text. That is a general literature review, but systematic is a way ahead than that, a little technical or little complicated than that. So you have to keep in mind about the definition, like the goals, mainly the goals of the review. What question it is going to address. And absolutely, a literature review is just a summary. It will not address any research question. I remember in my PhD days, when I submit a review to my examiners will ask me, what's new? What is your claim? And what did you find? What research question did you address? There is no focus in the review. You did not focus any specific problem or topic. So I don't understand. I'll go very sad. But what is my examiner asking? What is my examiner is expecting from me? I'll be a little bit confused. But later part, I came to know that you have to categorize your literature. We call it in systematic review, we call it systematize your literature in a narrative way, in a shape, so that it can give you more implications, more insights, understandings. So you can streamline your literatures in such a way that you can project, or you can tell someone what you are going to do, what research you are going to study. Obviously, expert members in social sciences and business administration, supply chain, logistic, business engineering, everybody will be aware of what I'm trying to say. So I will slowly jump on to the other sections. Okay, as I mentioned before, you have to answer the research questions. But how? What is the strategy? There is a strategy called PICO strategy. I'll come back to the previous slide. First, we will jump into PICO and see what is PICO. First important thing is what problem or what participant. Participant and problem come together. What is the environment or what is the setting you're going to address? That is called participant or problem. So, for example, in this case, are people who smoke tobacco regularly at a greater risk of developing lung cancer as compared to those who do not smoke? Is it conclusive, or can we conclude that only the tobacco people will get lung cancer? No. Can anybody confirm that only the people who smoke will get the lung cancer? No. People who are passive or both active and passive smokers are getting cancers. And when we do in-depth research, we find out so many redundancies, so many complications, like how they got the lung cancer. So this is a common research agenda or research problem or protocol. You can streamline the same thing according to your research. If you're doing a research in halal based retail supply chain, or blockchain based financial management, you can streamline the same thing and write a PICO strategy for that, to write a systematic review. So the first one you have to target is the participant and problem. People who smoke, obviously, the respondents. And the exposure, you have to give them smoking and see how they are reacting to it. Not practically, but I'm talking about the previous research which have done this thing, and they have bolstered these ideas in the literature. We are going to retrieve the insights from the papers, like how many people have got exposed or got exposed to smoke, and how many people we have to compare with the other set of people who do not smoke, and what is the outcome, and what set of studies or case studies conducted in this. So you find a problem, you frame the PICO strategy, and then you frame the research agenda for your systematic review. So coming back to the components, the general literature review will have just a methods, discussion, conclusion, reference list, and what about the systematic review? And the number of authors, timeline. What about the systematic review? It will have eligibility criteria to include and exclude the research data set or the papers. That's what I meant in the beginning. You cannot just randomly download a set of papers and say I have done a systematic review. You have to get your hands dirty, get into the mud, and do it physically, mechanically. So only then you can come up with a quality review, systematic review paper. So Other things and all we don't have to we don't have to concentrate. Like number of authors can vary, and for example, a literature review usually done by one person. But systematic review is done by many persons. Like there are so many platforms in systematic review online tools which allow a lot of reviewers, a lot of participants to review and then add and exclude data set and find out the result or find the final data set. So I will discuss that in the later part. What is the requirement? So many requirements. You have to fill those requirements like thorough knowledge of the topic you have to have. Otherwise, you cannot do the systematic review. No random person can come and just start and complete a systematic review. You should have done a lot of literature review to accomplish a systematic review. So value, we obviously produce like high quality evidence. We should produce a high quality evidence to the outer researchers or research world. So anybody reading a normal review will say that, oh, this is just a summary and just like a blog or an article in the website. So I don't get any kind of insights or future prospects or future research prospects or protocol, something like that. So you have to fill all these conditions and criteria and make sure you target the PICO strategy, you frame your research questions according to the PICO strategy problem and intervention or exposure and comparators, outcomes, studies, so on and so forth. Many people have told this, but Santos et al. 2007 has done a brilliant research using this PICO strategy and also explained indeed what is PICO strategy, etc. So, yeah, when we see a lot of reviews, a lot of literature reviews, it collectively is called as a literature review by itself. When we go a further step ahead, it is called systematic review, which is under the specific criteria. So if you follow the specific criteria, the basic criteria I have just given in the first two slides, if you follow you cannot follow a whole bunch of criteria precisely. One or two here and there may be missing, but make sure you concentrate maximum and satisfy all those requirements to start a review. Is my review going to address the current research trend and problem? Very important. You cannot address a review, or you cannot write a review paper for 2005 or 2006 problem. What is a 2021 or 2022 research problem? You have to find out and frame research questions for it. Very important. So scoping review, narrative review, literature review, rapid review, these are all different names given to a normal literature review. When you combine all this together, when you combine all this together and systematize the data set, you will ultimately end up in the systematic review. So one step ahead is meta-analysis. Why they do meta-analysis and what is the purpose of meta-analysis, I will discuss in the later part. So even if you constrict or if you combine even the data set and analyze the data set statistically, in business administration and business engineering and social sciences, the meta-analysis is very tricky part, because I will explain later. I will tell you the general idea. For example, if you have a set of studies by different researchers testing COVID-19, let's say COVID-19 testing, PCR test, what kind of test is giving the positive result? Different researchers have done different trials and experiments and published in the papers, published in the journals. So we systematize them and arrange them and see which experiment by which researcher giving the maximum benefit or maximum impact or the sensitivity of the result is high, specificity of the result is low. So you should find that. What is sensitivity, specificity? I will explain later. So meta-analysis is a little bit more constructive part of systematic review data set. When you have a data set and complete a systematic review, you can also explore options to do meta-analysis. But it's not easy in social sciences. Why? Because our methods are different, settings are different, respondents are different, and the findings are different. We cannot easily categorize and do a meta-analysis. That's my understanding. I don't know what other researchers think about it. Systematic review versus content analysis. To content analysis is something which feeds or which strengthens systematic review. Just narratively or descriptively, you project your data set and explain to the world that I have done this. It's not going to help. But you have to be a little bit narrative also. You have to add more content to the systematic review in the literature part, in the discussion part. So we can have a hybrid systematic review session here. How to combine or integrate systematic review and content analysis, bibliographic analysis, meta-analysis, so on and so forth. So there are two types: quantitative and qualitative. So systematize the data set. We stop there. We try to retrieve a data set and we stop. We try to project them in a more descriptive way, in a more graphical way. It's called systematize the data set quantitatively. But what is a qualitative output? You can frame a qualitative content analysis research paper separately, but if you combine it together, you will get more in-depth review in systematic analysis. I will tell you. After the PICO strategy, everybody would be aware of this one, the PRISMA protocol. Identification, screening, eligibility, and inclusion. So at first, to remove the bias, I told you before, right? How to remove the bias? When you have access to just Scopus database or Science Direct, that is Elsevier, and Google Scholar. Just I'm discussing the example which is in the slide. Have you removed the bias? You have to justify in your methodology. Why did you choose only 3? Why you did not go for EBSCO? Why you did not go for separate database search like Emerald, Springer, Taylor and Francis, ProQuest, ABCD, or different kind of database? So many databases are there. Cochrane database, PubMed and Cochrane database for medical and clinical studies. So coming back to the slide, we concentrate on the PRISMA protocol first. Identify the database first and retrieve the data sets, retrieve the publication from the database based on given according to the diagram, based on title, abstract, and keyword. I am going to search for my research. I am going to search in Scopus database, Science Direct, and Google Scholar. I have got, if I have searched according to the thematic approach, I have got 1,252 papers. But is it possible to review all those papers, study all those papers? It will take a lot of time, and also you will not be able to remove the bias. Many papers will be duplicates in Scopus and Google Scholar and Elsevier. If you go to a Google Scholar, you will find a paper, and you will find the same paper in the Science Direct database and Scopus database. How to remove this redundancy? So we'll go and read the abstract further and remove some items and duplication. For example, you have to address the gray literature. Gray literature is something. Duplication is something exactly similar. Gray literature is something is almost the same idea. And also conference proceeding will not have a very impactful research. We'll have just like a small summary and a few research future prospects and conceptual framework, something like that. So most of the time they remove conference proceeding, but if you have a very less amount of data set, you can include conference proceedings also in the systematic review. And also book chapter, very difficult to find book chapters or download them. Everybody are indexed in the databases and will ask subscription from the institution or individual subscription. So people tend to come away from the book chapter because it is very generic. It is not directly focusing on a research protocol or research question. It is very generic. It is just a textbook. So you can refer it for a summary of the literature, but not for the systematic review. But it's according to the judgment of the reviewer, judgment of the scientist who is doing the review, and some editorial letters by editors. Editors tend to expand the journal or project the journal in the scientific arena by releasing editorial letters on recent trends and recent research protocols that is happening. So we remove it. So exclude 783, and we got number 126, right? 469. After reading the abstract, we further exclude journals 443 publication, and we get 126 data set. And we further read the full text of main body, skim reading, and exclude articles that lack MES. MES is a term used in another study. Don't have to worry about it. So when you read the whole, my idea is when you read the whole body text, like whole text of the paper, you will see that, oh, this paper is still not relevant to our research. That is a very important thing you have to do. Many reviewers or many editors, journal editors will question you, how did you conduct the exclusion criteria? If you have conducted the exclusion criteria without reading the full text or at least abstract or title, it is not going to remove the bias. Some redundant or some duplicates or some gray literature will be inside the data set that you're going to systematize. So make sure you follow this Prisma protocol and include and exclude criteria inside the Prisma protocol and conduct your research according to Louis et al. 2017. Another diagram on the same Prisma protocol. This time the database is different. Inform database, ABI, CINAHL database, PubMed, SciInfo, Web of Science. Possibly this should be a medical research, clinical research. So in Google Scholar also they have taken 400 and they have excluded by reading the abstract and title. This looks very easy on slide, on paper, but when you get your hands dirty, when you jump into the pond and find the fish, it is very difficult. You have to allot. The strategy is you have to allot 3 days or 4 days for 10 papers or 20 papers, and see how much you have to do, how long you have to do, and how much effort you have to put. It is not that easy to skim and skip remove the duplicates. There are so many systematic review tools which can remove the duplicates. But what about the gray literature? What about the non-relevant part? So that is very crucial in this aspect. And also, you should keep in mind about the relevance of the data set. For example, if you are doing the research in business engineering or business strategy or leadership and management, so you should make sure your data set is not from other research areas, not from other research domains. Very important. They will address same problem, but sometimes the domain or research area is different. The keyword search is very important. I missed informing about the keyword search. How will you search the documents? How will you search? How will you search the documents using the keywords? I will give you a hands-on experience on it. Okay. Uh, as I mentioned, this is just an example. If you want apple and green in your data set, you have to go with the first one, first Boolean search. If you want dog or canine, what is the difference between dog or canine? Dog has a canine teeth, but other animals also has a canine teeth. Even the human beings has a canine teeth. All the research publication based on dog as well as canine will be there in the research search protocol. And also, if you want football, not soccer, it is different from dog or canine. It will give you just football, but not soccer. Soccer and football are related to each other. Everybody knows. But I want exactly studies that focus only on the keyword football. Many other places, in many other places, there we use the word soccer for other games also. So maybe the researcher wants just a pure name for the football to use in the search strategy. So I'll jump into the search strategy and tell you. I'll go into the scopus. Everybody would have gone and explored this database. Everybody would have done it, but still, for the beginners who are there out there, for the beginner master student or PhD student who are out there, I will do this for 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, the Boolean search I mentioned before. This is the front panel of the Scopus search database. You can go and select what you want to search. If you want a keyword present in your article, abstract, or title, you can select this. Okay, let me select article title, and I want the recent trend going on is blockchain technology. I add a criteria, or I add a protocol for the Boolean, that and call, and then I want to see what blockchain is doing, or what kind of research in blockchain has been done in supply chain. Okay, very simple. So the Scopus database will give me a result with blockchain in the article title. So all the articles which has blockchain in the title will be generated along with the supply chain keyword in article, abstract, and keywords. So you can also add a date range. Very important these years. I do not want. Okay, let me add from 2015, because you already know that the blockchain was evolved from recently, right? So I will add from 2015 until 2000, or until present. Even the why do we add present here? Very crucial question. Even the paper that is going to be published in the 2022 are still online, or still in the early side phase, or going to get published. That also you will get in the search. So 1644. Let's stick on to the Scopus search, and let's see how we can remove the bias. I'll just give you an example. It is not the perfect protocol. As I mentioned, you have to download, or you have to download the references and go through the abstract and title, and also, if possible, the full text one by one, to remove the bias and categorize and accumulate the data set. That is called the creamy data set, creamy layer. So with the Scopus database, how we can remove the bias? Let's go and find just all open access only. Open access comes under gold, hybrid, bronze, green. Okay, okay, let's leave this and jump back to the year. Okay, I already selected 2015 to 2022. See, 2022 has not yet started, but there are 22 papers. Very interesting, right? Those papers would have addressed the future research prospects, or the research gap for the next 2 or 3 years. So very interesting to review that. And also mention in the method part that 2021 has not yet been finished. Recently, I made this comment from the reviewer that I included 2021 and 2022, but you did not mention that this is a final set. So I had to mention as a note that this is not the final data set. Still, there is a bias that 2021 and 2022 can still publish more online. So you have to make sure in your method part. I will tell that how to do that. Okay. Let's say subject area. I was talking about this. If you are a computer science student, jump directly into the computer science and limit your search. Or I'm just a business management accounting student. Let's click that. That is subject area. I just want to target that subject area alone. This is a preliminary search. This is not the perfect search. I'm just giving you an idea how to constrict or how to reduce the number of articles in the first place. Okay, I just want the article. See, the database itself has a tool to give you just those papers that are articles, and you can remove the conference proceedings and other things. Okay, this is a very tricky part. There are so many keywords inside. Supply chain has been in the keyword section. When you write what are these? These are nothing but the keywords. Like when you write an article, you have to add a keyword section below the abstract. This denotes that data, that those keywords were used. Supply chain was used 771 times. Supply chain management, Internet of Things, and smart contract, blockchain, traceability. So if you want to concentrate more on supply chain and management, you can click here, but I suggest do not do that because you will miss a lot of papers. And you can see a lot of affiliations here and funding sponsors and country, etc. Okay, again, you have to click journal, only journals. I don't want conference proceedings, I don't want book series, I don't want book, I don't want trade journals, and I want only English. I don't, it's up to the researcher's requirement. If you are doing a Chinese study or a German-based publications, there are only 5 papers. You will not be able to accomplish a systematic review, obviously. But I want only English. So what I do is I limit to this data set. This is the first important thing I do when I do a systematic review. And I will write the method part in such a way to explain to the reviewer or the journal editor why and how I did it. And this is the search code I used. I will mention in the journal, in the publication, I will mention the search code. This is a beginner level systematic review protocol, but I will tell you how the experts have done in the later part. Okay, if you have a search code, you know how you have searched. People know how you have searched. Anybody can copy paste this in the Scopus search database, and then they can get the same result. Okay. 275 you cannot review. What you have to do, old school method, jump into old school method. I remember 10 years or 12 years back when I was a lecturer, when I was a master student, my lecturer, my head of the faculty or director used to tell me how he conducted the literature review. But we used to laugh at it. Oh, that's so bad. How did you complete your PhD when you did that? So during those times, people had to go to the library physically and take the physical book with book chapters or previously published thesis. There was no online repository or online databases, very powerful tools to download and skim and skip like this. They used to do it manually and even travel thousands of miles or thousands of kilometers and go to different libraries in the same country, or if possible, they write a letter to another researcher and ask the research journal in a paper format through post and try to copy or through fax. There was no fax also that time, if I'm not wrong. So it was like 1980s and 1985, I'm talking about 1975, something like that. So they used to do research like this, and how they came up with There was not much systematic review back then, but still conducting a narrative literature review in a PhD thesis was very difficult. He used to tell me, my director or my head of the faculty used to tell me, he used to have racks and racks of papers accumulated in his room, and he used to take one paper and then he used to read the papers and write his thesis. So see how old school. So we are going to do the same thing, but electronically. The same thing is no, we're not going to waste papers or we're not going to cut trees thanks to the technology, but we are going to follow the same old school method, but electronically. So if you, in my experience, if you don't do that and just follow these 275 documents and claim that this is the final creamy layer, then you are making a big mistake, and the reviewer is going to ask many questions. But if you are very sure that this is the final data set, I don't have any redundancies or gray literature or any duplicates, then you can proceed or you can justify in the paper. Okay, let's jump into the topic. What we have to do first is click all and export into an Excel file. As I mentioned, old school method. We have to follow the old school method, and we can download the Excel file and we can analyze step by step, one by one, manually. By doing that, you can easily accomplish the first part. It will take some time to open the Excel file. Let us discuss something else. Let us jump here. Okay. Okay. Many people have given Google Scholar as a database search. How to search? It is up to you. Same thing. Same thing. Blockchain. Give a comma or give a stop here, and then you can write supply chain. There will be so many pages, like 1 to 10 pages generated. If you have time, you can go through one by one, and also there is a custom range. For example, I'm very interested to study 2015 to 2016 only or 17 only. I can filter it, see how many, still 10 pages, but they will not be relevant. Look, I will give you an example. First one, digital supply chain transformation toward blockchain. Very direct paper. But when we go to the 10th page, same thing happens? No. Blockchain technology, principle and applications. Blockchain implementation, quality kicks in. And poverty, in fashion industry, so many other areas that blockchain has been implemented. So you cannot just download things and do it. So when we open the literature, I think there's a technical defect. Let's do it one more time. Before downloading, I did not mention this. Okay. You go and click in this arrow. You will find what you want. I can download in a Mendeley format or RefWorks format, RIS, EndNote format, or CSV format, BibTeX format, or plain text format. Usually we prefer CSV format, and we click. We need all the information regarding the authors and also the affiliations and abstract and keywords as well. And funding details, not very interested. I only include the references. If, for example, at the final stage of publication, the editor will ask you, what is the conference information or access numbers or trade manufacturers? If they ask you, you have to, it is better you download it, but for now, I will export just this. I hope this opens here. Sometimes you have to be very patient and patient with the data file. If you mishandle or if you are very rude to the data file, some issues will be there inside the data file and corrupted in the end, and then you have to redo it again. So just wait and copy paste in a separate folder and treat it nicely, so that you are going to use it for the next 2 or 3 months. Uh, so it's very important to handle the data set very smoothly. Okay, this is how you search Scopus in Scopus and Google Scholar. Still, it's taking time. Yeah, copy it. Let's paste it here. Okay. See, we got a lot of information. For the newcomers, it's very important webinar. Just concentrate in this part. Authors. All the authors that I have downloaded from this 275 papers, and author ID I don't need, so I just delete it. And title, we already know the title. We can double click and read the title. Double click in each and then read the title. This is the year and source. What journal, which journal it has been published, and volume, issue, and art number, page start and end. You can also, it is very useful in referencing. Referencing when you do manual referencing. Okay. You also got the DOI and affiliations and abstract, author keyword, index keyword, references, so many things, right? Publishers, ISN, IBN. So what you have to do is the old school method. Make your get your hands dirty and add included, excluded. Very important. Read the title first and read the abstract here. Abstract should be here. So double click, the abstract will be there. This is old school method. I will tell you how to do it with the referencing software. So you read it. If you find it okay, you just okay, included, yes, or just yes. No, no, yes. So you will get a data set, right? After reading abstract and title. But you can do the same thing using the Mendeley or referencing software like Mendeley, EndNote, or other Zotero, or some softwares like this. Okay. But how to import them? Go back to your Scopus database. Okay. And I want to save it again into a Mendeley format, right? But before Mendeley format, I want to download it into an EndNote manager. Usually, if you use Mendeley, follow this procedure. If you use Mendeley, follow this procedure. Download RAS format first. RAS format will also give you the Mendeley icon. See, look at that. The Mendeley icon is there, RAS format. So you can download in RAS format and import manually into Mendeley. And you can do the same thing which you have done in the Excel sheet. Okay. Now, very important thing to do. See, I have look at the folders for the past 5 or 4 years. I have done a lot of research in many projects, in many publications. So these are the separate folders I have created. So make a habit of creating. Start a habit of creating a separate folder like blockchain supply chain. Okay, just I am adding this blockchain supply chain. This is the folder and it's very empty. What I'm going to do is I am going to just drag and drop it here. Simple as it is. and look here below, the Mendeley itself will remove the duplicates if you have already downloaded them before, or if the dataset has any duplicate, Mendeley itself will search and screen the duplicate and download the exact dataset. But don't rely on Mendeley. Again, you have to do it old school. You have to manually review your papers. It will take some time because it is 400 papers. Let's wait for another 10 minutes.
Doctor, hello.
Yes, Professor.
Doctor, just could you show example on how it is done on EndNote as well?
Yes, but the problem is it is not. I will explain the problem what I am facing. So I am going to show you a lot of ideas and lot of procedures and lot of protocols to march and go to the perfect systematic review result. In this journey, my system does not involve or does not allow to have these two softwares together, two referencing softwares installed together. So I don't have EndNote right now. And also I want to comment on this one that EndNote, a separate hands-on experience on how to use how to do a systematic review using Mendeley, using EndNote, using Covidence software, using many software tools. It can be a separate webinar, but right now we can just streamline a specific part only. You understand what I'm trying to say? I cannot project everything at the same time. So please excuse me on this issue. Sorry, Prof. Because I don't have EndNote installed right now. That's a very big issue. Otherwise, I would have showed you.
Okay, Doctor, thank you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, now for those who did not see this Mendeley desktop ever before in your life, take a look. You can have author's information, title, year published, and when they have been published. If I'm not wrong, yeah. And see all the information is given in the right hand side. You can read the abstract, and also you can write the comments or notes here. For example, if you want to write a note, you can go here and write a note regarding this paper is very important in the aspect of halal blockchain or halal blockchain. Just an example. So you can click here and then you find the note also. Oh, so very user friendly systematic review referencing software is Mendeley. And also EndNote has the same procedure but different. EndNote has the same thing but different images or different graphical content. So don't worry about it. So that's what I have told. And also you should know how to cite this inside the paper. That is a different webinar. That can be a different webinar. So I'll jump into the slide now. I have showed you in detail using a Scopus. You can use it Web of Science also to do this. Web of Science also has a very strong database search, which can give you many options how to skim and skip and go to the final first-hand data set, and then skim and skip, read the abstract, read the title, and skim and skip and read the full text, and finally come with the creamy layer without bias. So database with Boolean strategy, I have gone through the Scopus and also mentioned how to use Excel file and how to use old school method using the Excel, and also how to when you go to the Excel, you can play with the Excel thing. Like you can create lot of graphs and lot of for example, I'll show you an example. For example, you want to see how many publications in 2022. So you can create a table anywhere around in the Excel. So for example, number of publication and year. Very normal first data set that we retrieve from the systematic review. I need to see how many papers in 2015, 2016 that Scopus has mentioned here, right? How to tabulate this You can retrieve the data manually typed there, or use the Excel, or also you can retrieve, you can use the formulas in Excel file, and you can select the table, you can select the column, and you can create a table like this. I'll give you an example: 2015, 2016, 2017. Not wasting time, just giving an example for the beginners. Okay, let's see. Go ahead with the graph, recommended graph. Usually a line graph will be very nice. Line graph is not there. The plot, because the number of years is very less. It is giving a plot graph. Also bar graph is good. So so many things you can do. You can play, and you can create the systematic review output in the Excel itself. You can include and exclude papers and create the descriptive, narrative, graphical images in the same platform by opening new sheets, and you will have a one file to review. But that's very old school, like how I told my professor used to do 25 years back. But we have many interesting tools to accomplish it. Okay, one more hour. This is what I was mentioning. How will you use the data set to snowball? When my supervisor told me, snowball your data set, Mr. Muzamil, snowball your data set, I was really confused. What if my supervisor is telling? What is snowballing? What is snowball? Then I googled it and saw that if you go to a snowy mountain and take a small snow and rotate it in the mountain, the snow will rotate and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you have to use the data set and try to come out with more information as much as you can. Categorize and strategize your descriptive information in such a way. I have to show you. I have to show a few examples how we can do it. So systematic review, how we can snowball it very easily, very efficiently and effectively. Okay, this is a paper published in 2020, with very interesting paper talking about how we can use. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis. How to do a meta-analysis, systematic review in environmental research. So, as I mentioned, there's a protocol and method for the systematic review. We have to find it and write it. We'll jump into the snowballing. Better I show you another paper. Okay. Okay. This is a state-of-the-art systematic review paper with meta-analysis inside it. So when you go there, and okay, let me show you my publication. It will be very easy for me to explain. So this is a recent publication we have done. And from IB, from Institute of Business Excellence, 2-3 months back, in the Q1 Scopus and Q2 Web of Science Sustainability. It is quite costly, but still a very impactful journal. Has a lot of impactful research papers inside the journal Sustainability, and it's ranked top 5. One of the top 5 journals in sustainable production, sustainable management, in sustainability NDPI Switzerland. So Professor Jaffer, Professor Vida, and Professor Ming Lang, and Professor Sharia from Sweden, Ming Lang from Taiwan, Professor Vida from UiTM, and Professor Jaffer from IB as a director, and he's the corresponding author. The first and foremost thing is how to snowball your data set. How to write the systematic review paper, I will come at the end, but what is called snowballing, I will explain and jump back to the slide. Okay, I'll show you the method first. Purpose of the review, I formulate the research question and what are the issues that that we need to build a circular business model, and in the form of from the perspective of circular supply chain and inclusion exclusion criteria, and what are the descriptive analysis protocol they have used, and bibliometric coupling strategies, everything, content analysis. So when you see the keyword search, there won't be a single keyword search. Honestly, there cannot be a single keyword search and you can claim that this is my set. So my strategy is I go keyword set by keyword set and search again and again to find the creamy layer. If you read this paper, you will understand. If you have any doubts in the future, you can also mail me. I will teach you personally how to do multiple keyword search and combine them and use a systematic review. So, for example, I wanted to explore how technology is developing the supply chain to make the supply chain into a circular business model, circular supply chain. So how supply chain was a conventional old school supply chain in the beginning, but how technology has evolved the supply chain in such a way that the supply chain is transforming into circular supply chain. Circular means you submit you sell a product to the customer will return back the product to you after using for some time, and you take back the product and recycle and refurbish and use it and send to the same customer in the next contract. So this is called circular supply chain or circular business model. And again, reverse logistics kicks in. Reverse logistics is a logistic whenever item gets damaged or whenever the customer is sending back the product, is not satisfied, product recall, product retrieve, and product refurbish and reuse. So many things is reverse strategy, that is reverse logistics. So how technology has impacted or influenced this growth, I wanted to review it. So we did a commendable research, systematic review research. First I did for common supply chain keyword. And then what I did was I merged circular supply chain keyword into supply chain. So it is like and or not a Boolean search. And finally I found the creamy circular supply chain and circular business model papers that I had to review. And this is the protocol or the methodology when you retrieve few data sets and you write a flowchart, how you draw a flowchart, how you do it. So very important to explain in the publication. You know how you did it, but you should explain it to the outer world, right? So total number of hits were 1150, and we excluded many things and found 133, and also other exclusion criteria we applied and came up with the 96 final data set. So there was still bias. There may be still gray literature and redundancy. Do not worry, but try to systematize or try to project them in a better fashion so that you don't have to worry about it in the later part. A little bit of bias, it will be there. Don't worry about your review. When you do the review, you cannot be super perfect. Cannot be 100% very sure whether my data is without bias or not. So when you project number of publications according opposite to the number in the year of publication, I also very interesting to and what are the research idea or concept focused on that year. See, when you say in 2015, I have a number of articles, 14 articles. Reviewer will ask you, what is the use of telling this? What's new? Why you are telling that to me? Reviewer asked me. So I gave him a new projection or a new table that in 2010, environmental sustainability was targeted in that publication, one publication, and what supply chain domain was targeted? Green supply chain. So when you do a research like that, when you do a research according to your research, you have to frame the output, the projection in such a way it should be justifiable according to you. Not not all can do the same kind of output need not be done by others. You can use your research area and come up with your ideas and your output. Okay, number of publications, source of publication is very important. I snowballed it into the publication source. And people will ask, reviewer will ask, or examiner, or the uh, the journal editor, very bad person when you publish, very tricky person. He will read, even if the reviewer accepts your paper, the journal editor will give you some comments. One of those common comments is, in the number of publications, sources, and number of and the source of publication, what is the use? Everybody knows Journal of Cleaner Production has 18 papers, but in that 96 papers, see, for example, in this 96 papers, that is a very important thing you have to justify to the editor. In this creamy 96 paper, we have found 18 papers in Journal of Cleaner Production. If you want to go way ahead further, you can write inside the text, what and why and how, a lot of questions you can answer. Why Journal of Production has published more, who is the author, and what was the research area targeted, you can write in the text, inside the text, below the table. Very crucial thing to describe your outputs. Snowballing is easy. Creating outputs, creating graphs, tables may be easy, but justifying the tables and outputs very difficult inside the text. This paper is not a I cannot claim that this paper is the perfect high standard paper where you I claim that this is the final one. It can also be improvised even better by other senior researchers. But this is we have done this in a very short period of time. So percentage of research contribution based on industry. So you have to go through all the abstract, full text, and title, and do manually. Manually, you write percentage of industry. The industry and percentage of contribution. You write the numbers over here and plot the graph. As I told you, it is like, okay, it is a manual work. So percentage of research contribution based on industry. If you see how to interpret the data, electronics only 2%. Circular supply chain, circular business model was explored or was researched or applied in electronics domain or electronics sector, only 2%. That is a scope of research gap. Research gap according to the research scope. When PhD people come up with a scope of research or significance of research, they can refer to the paper and claim to the reviewer or claim to the examiner that Professor Jaffer from IBE has published a research, UiTM has published a research that shows that circular supply chain management, that is trying to evolve circular business model in electronic sector, is very low. So I want to target that area and find respondents from the area and do research in there. So many insights you can get from your research outputs. Very important to note that. And also research area. There is no specific, like these are the set of research area. You can also have many keywords for the research area. For now, we have like logistics and consumption only 10%, and end of life waste management 6% only. And circular business models, circular supply chain have been adopted in reverse logistics so many times, or production and design so many times. Procurement, business model, and circular supply chain, you should use the keyword. For example, how to do this? For example, you use waste management. You go back here. I want to see how many papers target waste management. Only feasible way is here. I just read first the abstract, and If you have a lot of patience, if you want to be very precise, I also read the full text. So you have to write down or note down. Oh, this paper has targeted waste management. So you have to click like this. You have to note waste management WM, something like this. Like, just giving you an example. You have to frame lot of tables and fill in the tables to snowball the data. You understand what I say, right? So environment, economic sustainability and environment sustainability, social sustainability. So how many papers in that 96 have targeted financial sectors or used financial keywords or targeting economic sustainability? How many papers have targeted environmental sustainability, and how many papers have used both or social sustainability together? So very difficult to streamline this, but still you can come up with a projection or with an idea that this is a percentage level. Cannot be very sure, cannot be very bad, but you should be loyal to your search or loyal to your systematic review, and make sure you don't miss out any paper on this 96 paper. So the issue is, the first thing is you have to frame the tables. Table 1, and then table 2. Fill up everything here. Fill up. Okay. Now you see. Now you have a lot of idea, like A, B, C, D to table 1 address research sector. Table 1 should address author, something like this. And then you have to review one by one. And when you get the insight, when you get the ideas, go back to the table and you have to plot the number or write something over there. Old school method, right? Without using any software, right? Without using any systematic. There are many systematic software that I am going to discuss now. I don't think I will have time, but still I will try my level best. So you can do old school and then tabulate or take this in a graphical manner. Very standard level, simple level description only, not very difficult. Okay, this is a very I mean, this is again a little bit difficult part. Creating a table and projecting a table exactly like a table, not like a diagram. You see Excel graph. Oh, Excel graph is looking nice, and we can easily retrieve the data and create a graph and create a systematic review. No, you have to give a lot of. You have to add a lot of tables in your review, and you have to, for example, I have given the commendable work and findings according to our judgment. What is the commendable work according to under the artificial intelligence, machine learning, digital twin, Internet of Things, cyber physical systems. Uh, this one is BD is big data and blockchain. So this is the other part is the bibliometric analysis. How much low and high these keywords are there in the. See, it is not easy now. We need to use a systematic review or a bibliometric or a meta-analysis or any kind of software to find out this kind of data. So when you see this is a keyword coupling, everybody would have been aware of bibliometric analysis, how sustainability has impacted in management, and using the keyword coupling, we can project a lot of ideas, a lot of issues. In this keyword coupling, when you see this opportunities, business model, implementation, transition. So red color is a separate cluster. Blue color is another cluster. Green is another cluster. The software gives you the cluster. I will explain you now. So you can tabulate according to cluster. And cluster 5, these areas need more research. That's what I get from this image. From this image, we can tabulate this cluster and find so many. There are a lot of work done here in this 96 data set, and the cluster 5 has only this keyword. So, meaning to say, you can integrate You can integrate between clusters and create your research ideas and research questions. For example, how can big data, how can big data reduce or overcome the challenges in green performance? Something like that you can frame your research. And this is just an idea I told. A bibliometric analysis gives you research, accumulates the research into clusters according to the relevance of research, and you can find the smaller node, very small node, less research has been done on that area or on that keyword. Big node, more research, and closer the nodes, more relevant with each other, and farther the nodes, more non-relevant with each other. So I need to connect the dots. I need to explore using what is the use of bibliometric analysis. Okay, what is life cycle assessment? How can life cycle assessment be optimized okay, let's see how life cycle assessment can be optimized or reviewed from logistic perspective. We can connect the cluster and create a research idea or research protocol. That's a main important thing why we do bibliometric analysis. There are a lot of online videos on this, but explaining the whole thing in the same seminar is very difficult. So I will just jump using the. I usually have a habit of. Okay. This is a Excel template, but I use the template to project how these, what are the research gaps found out in this bibliometric analysis, the keyword. For example, when you combine IoT and big data, what you have to address? I have given supply chain risk need to be addressed, supply chain risk assessment, and adoption strategies should be explored. And what if I used artificial intelligence and machine learning, and what research gap I have to address? I have found out using the bibliometric analysis. How to do that? It is a separate. It can be a separate webinar. You can see the internet and find out. But how to interpret a bibliometric analysis, I will tell in the later part, or if you have time, we will discuss. So you tabulate the challenges and barriers in implementing circular supply chain and circular business model, and also you give how circular business model work. This is a strategic proposed operational model that we come out when we do a systematic review. You come out with a conceptual model or operational model to explain what are the future prospects, or how good or how well can the technology can be implemented. For example, in the procurement part, machine learning powered demand forecasting, very less researched area. Machine learning powered demand forecasting has a good relevance or good scope. We have projected in the operational strategy. When people try to come up with a circular business model or come up with a circular supply chain, they will think about this operational model and see why can't we apply machine learning and powered demand forecasting in the procurement stage of this business model, as mentioned by Prof. Jaffer and Prof. Veera and Dr. Ahmed or Prof. Ming Langsang or Prof. Sharia. So this is operation model. If you get an insight, right? When you complete a review, you get a lot of insight and you accumulate those insights and come up with a conceptual framework or operational model. The difference between the conceptual framework, the conceptual framework is a little bit a step lower than operational models. Actually, this is also a conceptual framework, but the reviewer asked me to write or mention it is an operational model so that the practical people or practitioners can implement. Okay, one more thing I want to say. Right now we are in IBE. I am doing the research in retail food supply chain. How they are getting, how they are disrupted in this COVID time due to lack of suppliers, roadblocks, and panic buying, how the truck routes can be changed and how can the network can be optimized. So I have projected, or we have suggested here, IoT powered, data driven digital twin logistic truck route optimization. You understand? When we go through a research and find out that this could have been done, that could have been done, you accumulate your thoughts from those literature gaps, and you frame a framework like this, come out with a framework like this. It's not necessary, but it is commendable if you come out with a framework. That would be very good. Okay, we will see another paper. Okay, let me go through the slide and tell you. As I mentioned, old school systematic review and referencing tools, many tools, but the one which I usually use or I usually recommend is MS Excel. First, you go for Excel kind of systematic review using the Mendeley. Combine Excel and Mendeley together and do the review. And EndNote, as Prof. Mentioned, like EndNote also you can use, and Covidence also you can use. So just I want to give you an idea how a Covidence systematic tool can be used in reviews, systematic reviews. Excuse me. The famous John Hopkins University video. I won't play the audio, but I will explain how they are doing. Okay, they are trying to say that you need to have a subscription for Covidence. UiTM or any kind of university, you need to have a subscription first to use the Covidence software. And this is the front panel, start a new research. You can start a new research and add the research title, name of the reviewers, and see, still this is old school, but with the help of a tool, with the help of a powerful tool, you will be able to do a lot of functionalities inside the review. You can invite the reviewer, and also you can name the reviewer and import references. See, title and abstract screening, full text screening. It will give you a very holistic way of how we can do without Excel. Excel also is good, but without Excel, if you want to do a holistic way, in a very easy manner, you can use this software, but with a subscription. See, excluded, included, maybe. So they read the abstract and the title, and they include or exclude according to the judgment to remove the bias, as I mentioned before. So other reviewers also will give their ideas, and they will accumulate the ideas and come up with the final data set. See, if the two reviewers are conflicting, they can be resolved. They can communicate with each other the same platform. There are many, as I mentioned, this is not the only systematic review software. There are many softwares, but what John Hopkins, the great university for descriptive analysis or any kind of mathematical analysis, John Hopkins University from USA, suggests Covidence for systematic review. It's especially very interesting in studying medical and clinical study. In social sciences and business strategy also can use, but it depends on the researcher. Okay, I will skip this. This is just a video you can refer to later. I just gave you an idea about the software. I don't think we have much time. We have another 1 hour. In 1 hour, I have to complete before 15 minutes. for a question and answer session. So we'll jump in. We have seen a lot of things about systematic review and how to snowball the data and what kind of protocol you have to follow to minimize the data set and create a data set, creamy data set without bias. So always keep in mind, the only thing is old school. Only thing is manual. Do not rely on a computer software that something can be generated and you can download the data set and claim that that is the data set which is without any redundancy or duplicate, and you have reviewed very good. And the reviewer, if some reviewer or some journal or some editor is accepting that paper, it is absolutely the what we call the journals which are not under the scopus or not plagiarized journals, or some kind of keyword they use, some kind of word they use to project the journals which are not commendable or which are not standard journals. We'll accept those kind of papers. So coming back to content analysis, very interesting part is you have the data set, you have Prisma protocol, you have the Pico strategy, you have the creamy data set or data number of articles that you are going to review, and you have done your homework in the Excel as well as Covidence or whatever, and you have snowballed the data set, and still something is lacking. That is the content. You can use the content analysis softwares or tools or protocol and merge it with the systematic review thing, and you can reap more benefits. Let me show you how. So I had 96 papers, right? So I will go through those 96 papers full text even one more time and download or use only 10 or 12 papers that talk directly the subject, and I will try to write the content or create a content analysis paper, and you can merge it together with the systematic analysis. It will be a very lengthy paper, but you can create another paper using the same data set. Wow, let's see. In-depth review of the content. When you reduce the data set, the most relevant or most direct papers that talk about the research idea or research that answer the research question that you think, according to your judgment, you have to justify in the method part, in the content analysis paper. And using the content analysis, we use a coding structure. Everybody will know NVivo coding, Atlas TI is used here. And using this, we can allot the codes for separate research domain. And under the codes, you can allot the quotations, and you can come up with a network mapping or you can. I call a network mapping as a conceptual framework. So comment and categorize the code, design the network mapping and research gaps. So when we do that, we will get more precise research gaps. That is very important. Just by reading an article and framing a table and getting a pie chart or a bar graph, and you cannot come up with a, still you are struggling. You will be struggling to come up with a research gap. So you have to do a content analysis of your systematic data set to. So this is just a small example of how Atlas TI gives out a network map or a framework or some kind of thing like here the laboratory is a part of the experiment, and outside the classroom. So this is just an example. It's not under the directly under our study or study of interest. I will jump into how we can easily do it. Okay. Okay, this is Atlas TI content analysis software or software tool. These are the documents that you can import, PDF document that you can import and create a name of the literature or the content analysis, and then you can initiate a content analysis by just adding the documents, of course. Manually add those PDF files. Those PDF files are creamy PDF files or the final 10 or 15 documents that you want to review. and you can step by step you can read in the Atlas TI itself, and you can assign codes or assign quotations. People who already know this, well and good. People who don't know, you can refer to this website with this to this video. You can also write comments below the papers, and you can also allot quotations. As I mentioned, using Mendeley for the systematic review can be a separate webinar, and using Excel, and using EndNote, and using Atlas TI NVivo, and using bibliometric softwares and Covidence can be a separate session. But I'm telling you the roadmap, how on what all we can use to accomplish our task. So I will jump into the last part. So what they will do is we can just read and open a code and allot a code, and we can keep on coding. These are for example, this is the code. So for findings in perspective, relationship, social accent, so on and so forth. We can allot the codes and allot the color for the coding, and we can assign the quotations to the codes, and we can come up with a beautiful network map like this. So you will have a document list, code list, memos, networks, document groups. So you can go to the document and you can expand into a network editor. So that document has so many codes. You would have assigned so many codes by reviewing the content. That is the name of that's why it is called content analysis. So you will have so many codes: service partnerships, service provisions, fundings, and funding sources. So what are the quotations related to them? You can burst out the quotations like this, and you can come up with a good network. See, when you project this diagram in the paper, in the content analysis paper, make sure you are able to explain in the diagram. You cannot randomly add quotations or add codes and come up with a diagram or network mapping and leave it just like that. You have to explain precisely. So very important to remember, to keep in mind. Content analysis. How content analysis? You may ask me how content analysis helps in systematic review. It directly helps you when you write. Let me show you. Okay, I'll jump back here. See, first and foremost thing, content analysis will help you to frame your research questions, and very important thing, it will help a lot of things in literature review. You cannot just narratively, or you cannot just write just a report like a literature review in systematic paper. In the systematic paper, the literature review should streamline like a thesis, like how a thesis is streamlining to a research problem. You have to write subheadings and headings, give an idea what is, describe a background, and lot of applications, previous studies, lot of things you can retrieve from the content analysis and insert inside the paper. That's a great thing if you are able to do it. And also in the discussion part, you will be struggling after doing the snowballing, all this snowballing, you will be struggling to in this part here. Discussion. When you discuss these things, you cannot just explain again the diagrams and tables. So what insights you have got from the review, you will easily get it from the content analysis. People don't have time to do that. Just write the literature paper. But my suggestion is if you come up with a systematic review, simultaneously do a content analysis. Yeah, it will surely help you. And also the citations you can directly you can refer. Yeah. Okay, let's jump into bibliometric analysis. Bibliometric analysis is a kind of a descriptive way of projecting how authors, keywords, journal publications, and many publication-related metrics are relevant with each other. This is how I can put it very easily to understand how I am relevant to another researcher. If I cite another researcher 4 or 5 times, bibliometric coupling according to the full and factorial fractional mathematical model, it will give you a node 1 and node 2. Node 1, Dr. Zain. Node 2, some other researcher in another country are more relevant together in this area. So see how the insights will develop. You get a lot of insights when you bibliometrically analyze your data set. So it will give you a lot of patterns between authorship collaboration and keyword relevance between each other. For example, blockchain and supply chain are very relevant. But how blockchain improves integrity in supply chain? Nobody knows. The integrity keyword will also be there in the bibliometric coupling, and you should see how the research gaps are there, how the patterns are there, how the analysis comes out during the research. And also the publication sources are very, very important, because to see which author publishes in this journal. For example, an author publishes in this journal, and that author is very keen in citing an author from that journal only. For example, a very highly ranked researcher or a great researcher, scientist, will cite another scientist or another equally categorized researcher, right? He will not cite an amateur or a beginner from some Scopus index paper. So that kind of collaboration can also be visible in the bibliometric analysis. As I mentioned, full factorial and fractional coupling. This is a mathematical equation under which the bibliometric analysis is done. Is separate. It can be discussed separately. Growth and trend of citation. So how many journals have been cited, how much it has been cited, and why it has been cited. You can see the link strength between the journals. We jump into the idea, like this is the keyword search in the software was viewer. See the lactic acid and other things and all in the red cluster. The software analyzes the publication and allocates the cluster in which they fall. So it is not humanly possible, but very time consuming. The software uses the fractional and full factorial and fractional and full fractional factorial method to streamline divide into clusters and show you the keyword cluster diagram. For example, xylanase is researched too much in green cluster, but it is very far away from submerged fermentation. As a researcher, I would like to study why submerged fermentation or sugarcane bagasse, or you can combine the cluster together. Why xylanase has not been not included in that cluster, and what if I use lactic acid and xylanase? I'm not a chemical person, but still I'm giving you an example, like how you can strategically and technically and analyze or think why usually use the question why this has happened and why not this could happen and why not this can be done, something like that. So bibliometric analysis is also a very strong tool or strong strategy to find the research gap. So keep that in mind. Site Space Explorer is a very comprehensive but older software tool. WasViewer is a new one, but it has little bit less functionalities than Site Space Explorer. So I'll give you just an example how Site Space works. Okay, look at the right hand side. You will have the threshold level and the node size. The smaller the node, the smaller the research impact or research has been done. And the threshold level, the link between the nodes, the cluster, everything is given the site space. The colors are different. The violet, purple, green, orange or yellow, something like that. You can always expand the bibliometric coupling and go deeper inside and explore. Uh, I'm not showing how to do a bibliometric coupling, but I'm showing how a bibliometric coupling will look like. Bibliometric analysis will look like. So Site Space Explorer has many capabilities or many functionalities when compared to WAS Viewer. You can use this table in the publication and also use this coverage, citing articles and keywords as a output for your publication. This is also one kind of snowballing. So you cannot just snowball and say bibliometric coupling or bibliometric analysis also can give you many results which you can snowball and you can put it in the paper. Okay, no need to. I think no need to talk about too much about the software tools because it is completely a different dimension. It will take us to a different dimension. So just to keep in mind that to go to your destination, what I repeat once again, to reach your destination, what all preparations you have to make, what all tools and what all food and what kind of dressing you have to do to reach that destination. These are all the aspects to keep in mind. From the beginning, you have to keep in mind all these things. Like, did I review the data set thoroughly? Did I review the content? Content analysis comes into play. Did I explode the data set into different ideas and different projections? That is systematically snowballing. Number one. Number two, reviewing the content very seriously, content analysis. Going much more deeper, bibliometric analysis. You do the same, take the data set and bibliometrically analyze the data set and find out more specific research gaps. So we jump into meta-analysis now. Not all will be aware of this, but meta-analysis is some kind of bibliometric, but not exactly bibliometric analysis. It will give you the effect size or normalization or the correlation between studies. In simple way to put it, what is the correlation between a set of studies? For example, you see the slide. There are a set of studies conducted over the past few years, and the method applied. Don't worry about the details in it. Just to get an understanding about what is meta-analysis. This is the forest plot diagram. It shows the sensitivity and specificity range according to the median one. The farther apart is very bad result, or closer is very good result. To my understanding, a statistician can explain even more better. To do is it's a kind of separate kind of set of parameters and actions you have to do to complete a meta-analysis. It will show you the direction of effect and size of effect and the consistency of the studies over the past years. And I will give you an example where meta-analysis is very impactful. Let's say COVID-19 positive testing strategy. How many countries and how many laboratories and how many researchers have struggled to come up with the best PCR test to give a positive or negative result in less than 24 hours. Let's keep it like this. And you go into the clinical Cochrane database or PubMed database, and you retrieve the the creamy part, like systematically review it and retrieve the 20 or 30 research articles that have been published based on this PCR test. Published in the sense the researchers have conducted the experiment. That's the difference between the business management and social sciences and the clinical research. In clinical research, they use meta-analysis to judge or to find which experiment according to the corresponding researcher or scientist is impactful or correct or sensitively high, give you the good effect, size of the effect, or something like that. You understand what I'm trying to say? So when you do a PCR test, you will have same functionality parameters, and you will have variables, similar variables, and different. They will change a little bit and conduct the test. So there will be lot of similarities between the studies. But in social sciences and business engineering in studies, there will be a lot of dissimilarities according to the respondents, questionnaires, and analysis methods and settings, limitations, so many things. You cannot easily come up with a meta-analysis in the business world, but in the clinical world, meta-analysis is the core idea or core protocol that is used to judge the papers. So RevMan 5, metaphor or package, comprehensive meta-analysis, everything can be used. Like a lot of other meta-analysis papers or softwares are there. To give an example, look at how RevMan is applied to do the meta-analysis. So they have come up with a set of creamy top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or some publications. Okay, included. RevMan also helps you to do systematically review a paper and find out the creamy top 20 or 10 or 20 papers. And you can select the data and then you can select the way how you want to do your meta-analysis. Again, I'm telling, I'm not doing the webinar for meta-analysis or meta-analysis software. I'm just giving you an idea or example. Rather than giving you in text, I could have given you in a diagram format. But rather than giving you in a diagram format, I am giving you in a video format. So this is just an example. So they are checking the mean difference, standard mean difference. Let's jump into the analysis part, like the final output. Okay, 95% confidence interval. They usually the statistician to test any mean or standard deviation or variance. What is the output? They fix the confidence interval for standard mean difference and find the relevance and correlation. All statistical people can understand this. So farther is the dot, more irrelevant is the study. More nearer is relevant is the study. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am not a great statistician though. Okay. This is sensitivity and specificity plot. The one which they just now showed. This is a forest plot diagram. Usually in meta-analysis, people will ask you about. I think we missed it. Okay, it's okay, no problem. Okay, we are coming to the end of the webinar, but this is the most important phase I want to discuss. First and foremost thing, framing the title, right? Framing the title, abstract, and keyword. They should match each other. Your keyword should not be a different thing, or abstract should not deviate from the title. Very, very crucial thing is, very, very important thing is, your journal reviewer will first comment on the title and abstract. Abstract should have all the items that you have done. Abstract should have the background and report what problem you're addressing and what kind of method you have used for the systematic review, and what findings and results or what implications you have got in the 150 to 200 word limit. You have to come up with an introduction, explain the background and problem, need to address the problem first in the introduction part. In the systematic, I'm talking about the paper structuring the systematic review literature paper. Okay. And the purpose of the systematic review is very important to add in the literature. You have to write a story in such a way that what you are trying to do is justifiable to the current research world. If it is not impactful, if it is not in the current research trend, if it is not addressing the current research challenge or problem, your paper will be rejected in the first place, just rejected. And then after you explain the problem, and after you tell what problem you are going to address, and you write the clear story, you have to write the research objective or research question, but what questions you are addressing and what objective you are going to accomplish. So at the end, everybody will do this, but they will miss this part. Write the structure of the paper. Very interesting is, in the introduction part, you explain to the editor or you explain to the outer world, other researchers, that how this systematic paper has been structured. Like the first phase is introduction and method part, discussing about so on and so forth, and the second phase is result and discussion part, discussing about these ideas and the conclusion and limitations of study, like that. And the next one is literature. Usually come up with a general text, like summarize the literature first in the first place. Don't put a lot of pressure in your mind and go to the creamy layer first. Just summarize according to the subheadings. I will show you. I'll come back to this slide. Very important to see this example. Okay. This one is another paper of mine, published in 2019 in Faculty of Industrial Management, if I'm not wrong. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Published in the Journal of Modeling and Management. Dr. Fazida Binti Mohammed was my supervisor, and UD Fernando. People who know you people may know you, Professor UD. He's a very well-known person in logistics in Malaysia. And let me tell you how to write the abstract. Always, if you write an abstract, you always refer to an emerald paper. An emerald publisher or a publisher who divides the abstract in such a way to write the purpose, design, findings, implications, social, originality, value. It's very deep. Systematic review need not be that deep, but try to come up with an abstract like this. This is not the perfect example. There are so many other good papers. I'm just comfortable explaining my paper. So the total 93 papers I have got from Web of Science core collection database. I have not used other database. I have justified in the text, or I have justified to the reviewer, to the comment to the reviewer, why I have selected only the core collection database. And then I have included engineering, industrial and engineering, manufacturing and operation research management subject area only. That's the reason I stick on to Web of Science. But searching these keywords or searching the subject area in other databases will create a lot of will require a lot of efforts and lot of review work. So I wanted to focus just on the Web of Science database and do my paper. So first one, introduction. As I mentioned, I write about the problem first. First one, I have to discuss what I have written. Lean simulation in production and operation management. So a systematic review and bibliometric analysis. I combine now I will show how we can combine systematic review and bibliometric analysis. What are lean simulations? Let me explain. Lean simulations. For example, many people have heard about 5-year strategy, Pokayoke, Kanban. These are lean techniques, but most of them are on paper or on table format, or on just on in graphical format, but how to quantify. For example, you don't have a lean technology in a workshop, in a mechanical workshop. You implement lean, and you say, you take a picture of the workshop. Oh, this place has been implemented with 5 years strategy, or Kanban strategy, and this is the change in the present and future state. We take the value stream mapping and show it to the world. But how to dynamically quantify it? Simulation studies, the simulation modeling or digital twin supply chain can help to dynamically quantify it. That's my claim. This is the research gap I wanted to fill in my PhD. So every PhD student should come up with a paper like this. I will tell, this is not the perfect one. There are so many other top tier journal papers you can refer. So I'll jump into the introduction. I wrote the problem. What is the current problem that is there, and I wrote about the overview of lean simulations. Currently, how lean has been simulated, and why why it was not quantified, and how it was not quantified, something like that. And method, I gave a clear Prisma protocol. This was 2019. I did not use exact Prisma flowchart, but you are welcome to use any flowchart, but the editor and reviewer should get convinced that you have used the Prisma protocol, and and make sure you give another method diagram, like how you went on, how you did the search strategy, and how you selected the papers, the first set of papers, and what kind of snowballing have you done. Systematic review, I have done percentage of articles published, uh, and summary, publication trend, sources of article, and topics and authors, method of study, keyword, publication metrics, important lean tool and simulation techniques. And in bibliometric analysis, what all snowballing I have done, I have projected co-occurrences of all keywords and keyword plus and all keyword and document sources, countries, authors, and institutions. So if you do this in the first place, the reader will see, oh, I'm going to see all this in this paper. Let's see. So I discussed about the software. Was we were in the method part, we have to discuss about the software as well. So don't forget about it. When you write the methodology, you start with the keyword search strategy, and you discuss the exclusion and inclusion criteria, and after that you give a diagram like this and explain them how you removed the bias and came to the creamy data set, and also what kind of software analysis or method you are used to systematically review or bibliometrically review it. Okay. Results. First one, I have to give, according to the keyword search and subject area, these are the percentage engineering, industrial, and operation research, and publisher, number of articles, and year, publication year, and title of publication. What is this is the journal platform. Taylor Francis, Elsevier are journal platforms that publishes the papers, right? Inside the Taylor Francis and inside the Elsevier, inside the Emerald, there are so many journals. This is the sources of articles, and number of articles published according to the country. I was very keen on finding top 15 or top 10 cited people, and what was their research work and what area they have addressed. So this is a very good snowballing you have to keep in mind. And the bibliometric analysis jumped in. I gave a publication metric. So lean production and lean manufacturing, how many people are categorized? Production metric. So in this publication, total citations are here, total sites per year. I use another software which I will not be able to mention. I explain here how I came up with this table. I'll jump into the another one. Author, lean simulation modeling integration. So what was my research agenda and what was my research question and objective? I wanted to find how lean can be quantified, how lean and simulation can be integrated. So I need to review those papers that have previously touched that part, right? That is snowballing. When you do snowballing, when you do a data extraction, make sure it is useful for the public, useful for the reader, or the research, future research. So that is very important. So over the years, ascending order or descending order, you can frame it. And I give another framework in between, that what kind of problem lean implementation is facing when simulation modeling, that using simulation modeling that can be removed. So that framework I have given. And co-occurrences, all the bibliometric criteria. Bibliometric analysis comes under the criteria. Like you have to set a criteria and analyze. So what criteria I have used, I have given this table. The first one is the keyword coupling or keyword. See, the simulation has been used as a keyword many in all the papers. When you see cycle time, look at this cycle time. Why cycle time is very farther apart from lean or system or tools or simulation, and it is in the orange cluster. And why Kanban is in red cluster? Ask yourself why Kanban is in red cluster and why cycle time is there. And go and click on that. In the WAS viewer, you can click on that to node and you can go to the corresponding paper or something and find out what problem they are addressing, what problem Kanban people are addressing, and try to see whether you can merge these two. How we can use Kanban to reduce the cycle time. You got it? So that's how we find out the research idea or research gap or research protocol, something like that. This is overlay visualization where you can see the same image given in a different idea. 2012 simulation has been reviewed much, but 2017 there much importance is given in demand and improvement, and this guy algorithms. So the blue color is very old. The green and yellowish and green color is 2016 or 17. And if you are doing a research 2021 also, you can find out using this. The same diagram given in a different fashion to understand more precisely. Density. Density means the more denser or the more is the yellow color background behind the keyboard, that much research has been done in that area. The same image can be projected in different way. And this is the image of documents and countries, journal sources, International Journal of Production Management, International Journal of Production Economics, highly cited and highly relevant to each other. Look at the relevance. The relevance or their distance between the two are very less. So they are citing each other too much or relying on each other's research too much. That's the understanding. And also the country. How many countries have collaborated and contributed to this research? And this is the authors and sources and institutions. A lot of text has been shortened, but you can expand it by in the software. You can expand and see what is the real name or full name of the result. So this is my cluster table, and this is how in 2019 I had this much understanding to come up with the research gap. Like lean production has been implemented in the cluster 1, cluster 2 risk impact and decision making and service and strategy has been applied or included in lean production. Cost and quality from cluster 5 is included. You have to go through each and every cluster to come up with a diagram. You cannot just draw this diagram. You have to go through each and every cluster, read the paper, go to the paper, review it, and then come up with the diagram. So lean production was implemented in Kanban pull production system. But Kanban pull production system was not quantified much. So they used discrete event simulation to do it. And also value stream mapping was not quantified. It is a static map. How to dynamically visualize it? Discrete event simulation was used, and information uncertainty decision making methods was also can be allotted for supply chain strategy according to the cluster 7, 6, and 4. So many things, so many interrelation between the cluster you found out by systematic review and bibliometric analysis as a as a hybrid review protocol. You understand? This is hybrid review, not just projecting or snowballing the result. You use lot of insights, you use lot of understanding, lot of reading, lot of content review to come up with the idea like this. This is a beginner level diagram, but this could be even more better by using Adobe Illustrator or Adobe InDesign or Adobe Photoshop, something like that. So I have to show you another paper. Just hang on. Okay. So I wrote this review paper and I bolster in the research web of knowledge that there is a need for discrete event simulation or a simulation strategy or digital twin in analyzing or in quantifying lean. See how I framed my PhD thesis or PhD paper according to the research gap projected in the paper, in the review paper. So I used a discrete event simulation of a Malaysian warehouse, pharmaceutical warehouse, one of the top pharmaceutical company in Malaysia. I did my PhD there. I gave the, I mean, this is the framework, how I did it. I'm not jumping in straight. I'm just showing, look at this diagram. This is the value stream map. Everybody will know this is a lean technique, lean tool. Everybody use it to reduce the lead time. Supply chain, what kind of lead time? Manufacturing lead time or production lead time, something like that. But when it comes to supply chain, the supply chain processes were random and they could not be mapped so easily. So dynamic visualization was very important. So what I did was I implemented, I justified my thesis or justified my paper with the review paper I wrote, like the discrete event simulation model is used, can be used to visualize the same present state and future state map and project many implications. See, this is the future state map I designed to project the performance variation between this is quantifying lean. That's what I was talking about here. I was talking about how to quantify lean simulations in production and operation management. I told that in my research gap, I told that discrete event and value stream are related, but there is a gap over here. Discrete event and value stream are not linked to any other much and not researched much. So you have to justify according to your bibliometric analysis and systematic review. And then I came up with this paper and justifying this in the same journal they accepted. That's a beauty. The same journal of modeling in management, Q2 now, I think Q2, they accepted this paper as a main paper. Okay, let me show you how you quantify. Okay, forklift percentage, worker percentage, throughput percentage, quantify in the new setup, in the future state. How it is changing. You can see it dynamically, visualize dynamically. That is the very important advantage in discrete event or agent based or system dynamic. You can visualize a system or a process or a product dynamically. You can review it. You can use the past data and you can dynamically review the system. Or now data driven simulation has come up and they are doing a lot of technological innovation now. Data driven, data is fed real time and the simulation is real time. What all happens in the warehouse, you see it with an augmented reality in real time. Okay. Okay. These are all the differences in the zones and worker utilization percentage. So, and the warehouse performance metrics, receiving, put away, storage, how the percentage is changed, uh, total time taken, efficiency, quantify. That is a reason. Quantify a lean method or lean strategy was the main agenda for this paper, and this paper was based on this paper. So, writing a literature review, systematic literature review, you should keep in mind that somebody else is going to use your research gap and use your research theme or protocol or future research prospects from your paper, and they are going to frame their own research proposal or research idea. So be very sure, be very honest, and be very practically very down to earth when you do the research. Don't come to any conclusions before you conclude the data set, and don't judge. If you're doing it separately, try to ask your expert people and find ideas how to snowball properly the data set and how to come up with the insights that will be useful for the other researchers to cite your paper. So basically people write the research systematic review papers to cite for getting more citations, right? It's not the main objective. The objective is people should get research ideas from your paper. That is a very important objective according to me. So coming back, we will complete the slide. Literature review, literature part should have some discussion about the area and methods and relevant subheadings and headings you should add, like how I showed in the papers. And method should clearly describe the protocol, and you need not worry about, you write as a story, and world needs to know how you did it. So you should write step by step as a storytelling. So don't worry about anything, just write as a story, the method part. And results, tabulate and arrange, snowball the findings, discuss properly the findings. First discuss the results. What results you got, you discuss, and then you go into the research problem at the end of the discussion and give a operational model or a conceptual model like I showed you now. And limitations of study, time span, database, keyword. For example, in my study, I used only Web of Science. But a reviewer asked me, why you didn't use Scopus or Google Scholar or EBSCO or ProQuest. So I used to justify like the same paper is duplicated in all other journal sources or databases. So you need to have a proper justification for that 96 or 90 or 80 or 70 paper. Maximum, don't come down below 70, keep it above 70 or above 60 and below 150 so that you can review very nicely. Don't go like 500 papers is my creamy set. 500 papers you will not be able to achieve and you will not be able to snowball properly. And future research. What do you think that researchers should consider in the future? Very important. Like I said, I used discrete event simulation to address lean setup, right? Many people have mailed me and also cited me and also messaged me regarding this matter, that how to use lean here, how to use discrete event simulation in this area when lean is coming. So many collaborations you can come up with. So you have to fix your mind about what research you are doing, and you should grow in that research. Make sure it is a very long journey. If you are writing a paper, you should have a collaboration with the expert members or senior faculty members and ask their opinion, what kind of output they will expect if they are reading the paper. It is not what you think or what you like, you have to write. It's not, it doesn't work that way. And a conceptual framework and operational strategy is very important. If you add at the end, even if you don't add, it doesn't matter. But if you explain clearly in the discussion and conclusion part, it is very nice. I conclude here. Thank you so much. It is a very lengthy webinar. Usually in between there will be a 10-minute break when it is a face-to-face. There will be a 10-minute tea break or something. This COVID-19 has brought a very lengthy webinars without tea break or any kind of break. But I'm really sorry. Apologies for keeping you here for more than an hour. Thank you so much. I sincerely thank my director, my deputy director, my director Prof. Jafar, my deputy director Prof. Kadir, and my supervisor Prof. Veera. And I sincerely thank Institute of Business Excellence and UiTM as well. And it's a great honor. It's a great honor to be a part of IBE and UiTM. And also, I sincerely thank the listeners. And I open up for the question and Q&A session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zain, for the most insightful sharing. I hope that you have benefited a lot from this session. Okay, now we have come to the Q&A session. Any question? Please open your microphone and ask directly to Dr. Zain, please.
Salam, Doctor. Just
Assalamualaikum.
not a question really lah. I mean, it's quite a long presentation. During the first half too, still can follow. Dr. Zain presentation towards the end too is a bit ni lah. So would it be possible to share the PowerPoint presentation, Doctor?
Inshallah. After this, we will upload the recording to our website, and I believe that from there everyone can benefit from it. You can download the recording from the website, IBE website.
IBE website, Doctor, ya?
IBE website, ya, insyaAllah.
Okay, terima kasih.
Any question, please?
Just another one question, which Dr. Zain presented the PRISMA method of structuring the systematic literature review. And I believe there are other methods as well. So what is Dr. Zain's comment on that? Which one is the more suitable one to be used in social science studies, for example, for business or marketing or things like that? Thank you.
Actually, there may be or there can be other methods, but usually the researchers recommend or the editors recommend. Personally, the editors write to you after the first submission of the paper. The systematic review has not followed the PRISMA method. For the past, many people will have more than 20 or 30 years of experience in research, but I am very beginner level researcher, or just going to get established researcher. In the past 6 years, for all the papers I have submitted to the journals, the editor has not mentioned any other method other than PRISMA. I'm honestly telling you. And the PRISMA method, they focus about, they want the flowchart, the diagram. Even if you explain the PRISMA method very, very efficiently in the text, it is not going to suffice the expectation of the editor, the journal editor, or the publication. They want the flowchart diagram of the PRISMA and explain it further. So my apologies if I don't really know the other methods other than PRISMA, but I always suggest go with the PRISMA.
Okay,
thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, please. Any other question? Okay, this is for certificate. Just please register from using the link that we provide, and after this you will get the certificate of participation. All right. Okay, if let's say there is no more question, okay, we have to end the session now because time is very limited. We will organize inshallah, we'll organize similar event in future, but most probably we'll use better platforms so that many people can attend our session, inshallah. So before that, please open your camera, on your camera, then we can take some photo for our record. Man, please take the photo, man.
Okay, okay, ready everyone? I
Okay.
count.
Get ready.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so we have come to the end of our session. Thank you very much for supporting IBE. Inshallah, next time we'll organize similar event so that we can benefit from the events, the programs that IBE organize in future. Inshallah. Okay, see you next time. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Zain.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.